In the year 1885, the National Education Association advocated for teacher tenure to protect the jobs of public school teachers against discrimination. 126 years later, the initial concept of the tenure system remains. As our national education has progressed, the tenure system has not evolved alongside, resulting in serious repercussions that threaten our national public school education. One of the biggest problems with tenure is an insufficient evaluation process. As of 2008, over 2.3 of the 3.2 million public school teachers had tenure. There's no way that there are 2.3 million teachers that are performing at a high level that tenure should require. The process to obtaining tenure is a relatively simple one. It takes 2 years in most cases and consists of reflections by the students about the class as well as 4 principal visits. If the teacher passes on the first day of the next school year, the ultimate reward that any working person could ask for is given: job security for life, tenure. Recently, Kim Marshall, a man who's been involved in teaching since 1969, has revised the tenure rubric. The changed rubric encourages principals to make many unannounced visits to the teacher's classroom with a rubric that evaluates the teacher on a 4-point scale: expert, proficient, needs improvement, and does not meet standards. It is obvious that the present tenure evaluation is too weak and soft. Improvements must be made to ensure that teaching continues at a high level. It is apparent by California's excessively low national standing on the standardized test that some teachers are not in compliance with the guidelines of the California state standards. However, for some reason, all we do is complain. Fire him and all our problems will be solved. People are not looking at the problem from the other side. Why are we blaming the teachers? Their salaries are so low that 62% work outside of school to make ends meet, meaning more exhausted teachers with less time to devote to planning lessons and grading papers, and more time worrying about getting by. This is not a formula for success. Teaching takes such a high toll, with incredibly little reward or positive recognition, that 46% of teachers quit before their 5th year nationwide. That turnover rate is ridiculously high, and if it stays the same, do not expect public schools to improve the quality of teaching anytime soon. A recent study found that countries with the highest scores on standardized tests are Finland, Singapore, and South Korea. After a more in-depth look, it was found that they approach public school teaching drastically different than the U.S. Currently, all 3 countries recruit top graduates to the teaching world. Finland and Singapore pay for the training of these bright minds, and once graduated, South Korea pays their teachers an increased mean of 250% of the average salary for an American public school teacher. The U.S. does none of this. But the biggest difference is that these countries view their teachers as a solution, not the problem. If the test scores are not up to par, the schools receive support, not discipline. As a result, the annual teacher turnover rate in these countries is significantly lower than ours. In South Korea, it's 1%, Finland 2%, and Singapore 3%. This results in a huge difference in the quality of teaching because the schools retain more experienced teachers. Since these countries have found a way to have their students, teachers, and administration work together effectively, then why can't we? There is an incredible difficulty in removing a tenured teacher. Teachers with tenure may become complacent because they have tenure. All the long hours add up, and teachers might not have the motivation to keep up a high quality and quantity of work. When the effort diminishes, it is the students who suffer. Findings from an investigation by the LA Weekly in 2010 show that the Los Angeles Unified School District spent over $3.5 million trying to fire a mere 7 underperforming teachers. It took 5 years to come to a conclusion. They only succeeded in firing 4. In another case, 32 underperforming teachers were paid $50,000 each by their district to quit. In Washington, D.C., a proposal was offered that would extinguish tenure entirely and have teachers' wages directly correlated to their performance in the classroom. 80% of the teachers voted in favor of the proposition, and the following month, 241 teachers were fired and 737 were given notice that they were minimally effective. This is what public schools need. This is a step in the right direction. Common sense should prevail, and the policy be effective or get out should triumph. This technique provokes healthy motivation for teachers because now there is no shield protecting the lazy, underperforming weaklings, only rewards for the productive, hardworking teachers. And now think, who really wins here? The students. Because they are the ones benefiting from the higher quality of teaching, and they are the future. Public school education is of incredible importance in this country. Public school districts mold America's future. More importantly, public school teachers mold our future. If we as a nation are serious about getting back on track with education, change must be made. Teachers must be seen as the solution, not the problem. Ineffective teachers must be exiled, and tenure must be reevaluated. As a wise man once said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step, and that is what must happen.